It seems to me that life is a continuous and mysterious stream of choices and decisions, and here's a poem that illustrates it. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Here we are back at the divergence in the woods, and the choices, the decisions that we make could be minor changes in life, but also could be life-defining choices. And maybe you're at a point in life now where you're facing possibilities and a little unsure which way to go, and it might be a very uncertain road ahead, and there might be one that is very familiar and straightforward. So I don't know where you're at, but I am kind of making a little assumption that if you're watching this, you feel like there is an opportunity to make a change, make a new choice, and go a different way. And if that's the case, what I'm going to do is talk to you about a big decision that happened in my life and a choice I had to make, and then run you through a process or a ritual, if you like, that we use in a mentoring organisation that I'm part of to help men make decisions based on living their life in the way that a trajectory that they're on already, and an alternative path that they might take. So, I mean, first of all, I made a decision, a big life-changing decision 33 years ago at the age of 33. And that decision came about through, well, forced into a decision basically at one point by, I think you'll remember a lady called Maggie Thatcher and certain events at the ends of the 80s when interest rates took a hike to something like 14% here in the UK. And at that time I had a mortgage which I couldn't sustain due to a loss of work in the advertising and publishing world. And I took a decision to leave the house and head off in a converted old ambulance and hit the road. And I hit the road for 3 years and ended up through various circumstances that I won't go into at a place in Scotland that is called Samye Ling, and it's a Tibetan Buddhist monastery. And I had a choice presented to me that I could carry on the road that I was going to up to the north of Scotland to see some old friends and potentially carry on a life of excess of drink and various other things. and trying to suppress what had happened and how I was feeling. Or I could stay in a monastery and take vows for a year. That was the offer, or that was the potential. And I had to weigh up the options. It didn't, and sit in front of the Lama there and tell him my situation and how I felt like, well, actually, I was on a path of self-destruction, and if I didn't stay there for a year, I might well not see 34. It turns out that I stayed not only for a year, that I stayed for the next 10 years, 8 of those ordained as a monk. And that has led me to this point. And I think, referring it back to the poem, I travelled the path less taken, and that has made all the difference. So I hope through introducing you to a ritual and a method, as I said before, that we used in a mentoring organisation. More to come on those 10 years and the learning, the insights, and the things that, the effect that's had on my life to this point. I really want to share some of the wisdom of the Tibetan lamas and the culture, and that will be coming in some future videos. But for now, on with the journey. That this will prove useful for yourself if you're making, you have to make a decision that potentially could be a life-changing one. And as you'll see up there, that is the one in the poem where it stood long and looked up as far as he could see. And I think that would be a point in time. Sorry about the shaky video. It's gone back to winter here, and I'm feeling the effects. Should have put my gloves on. Maybe that's 5 years hence, as far as you can see, to the undergrowth. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to use an example in my life at the moment, something that I have to make a decision about, and that is whether to have a second hip replacement. So I've already had the left hip done, and the right hip now needs doing. So I'm going to walk through a timeline of the consequences of the decision that I'm currently procrastinating making, and I'm going to look along this line, which is going to be a little tricky because I'm not going to turn the camera around, but I'm going to, you walk with me from this present position of in need of a hip operation, because I'm in pain, and sometimes it's debilitating. So I'm going to walk up this path, the familiar path. This is the route that if I carry on in this same vein, deciding or procrastinating on the decision even to go to the doctors and get the first appointment for an X-ray and an appointment to see a consultant. I'm going to take this now. First step is to 3 months from now. What are those consequences? Well, I will have some disturbance in the mind, thinking, should I do it? Why am I not doing it? And and also the pain potentially could have got a lot worse, and I won't be able to move as easily. So I'm going to carry on up this path to, I'm going to say, Where are we going to, Bonnie? A year from now, if nothing changes and I still haven't made that decision to take steps towards the hip operation, in a year's time I can see that I will be in a lot more pain and also not be able to do the things that I really want to do, and also the things that I need and have to do to support a family. I'm going to carry on, and I'm going up to, that was a 1 year, I'm going to say 3 years down the line. Potentially I could be looking at it being too late, or that I've actually had to take time off work, not been able to work, not be able to cut the wood that I need to do for the fires and do all the other tasks, and be in quite a bad shape. And that has consequences not just for myself but for other people. So what I'm doing here is building up a picture of, potentially how bad the situation could be. And not only to do that, but to a sense of a feeling of what that would be like. And I know now from having the other one done what it is like to be with that pain, and I really empathise with people who live with constant pain. So I'm travelling now up to the end of this, where it goes over the path goes over a stile, and this is 5 years hence. And 5 years from now, if I didn't have the hip operation, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to get up and climb over that stile and carry on up into the woods where I now walk the dog. That would be a no-no, and for me that's a real that would be a real sadness and frustration. I'd probably be very, I'd have some element of anger at myself. Why haven't I done anything about it? And Bonnie would be standing there wondering what was going on and why I wasn't able to follow her. Consequences for her, she doesn't get her walk into the woods, and my wife would have to do it. So the idea with this is just building up that really clear picture, potentially pressure building up around other areas of my life as well. So that is it. That's the end of that. 5 years down the line, I've not had the hip operation. So bringing that back to yourself, is there a situation that you're facing where you need to change something? You're at a fork in the road. So that is the first step in this method, or I'm going to call it a ritual, as we do at a band of brothers. The second part is to go back to the starting place, the fork in the road where the two paths diverge. And this one is what we call the King's Walk, the sovereign walk, the one where the decision's made, as we were saying, the path less taken. Because it's maybe unfamiliar territory, whatever it is, it's something that, yes, okay, you don't know the consequences, but we're going to walk up here, we're going to imagine what would happen. Again, I'm going to use my own personal circumstance and just put yourself in that position, or just take this as an example and then do your own process and ritual on this. So this is the path less taken. and I'm going to do the same thing. So if I decide now that I'm going to start the process of getting this hip replaced, 1 month from now, I would have stopped here, and I've gone to the doctors. I'll have had an X-ray potentially, and be set up for a 6 months where I get to this place and I have an appointment, or I've already seen the consultant. He's agreed that the operation needs doing, and looking at, well, in these times, how long I would have to wait down here. Before, I was rushed through quite quickly for the previous one and went to a private hospital, but whether that would happen again this time, I'm not sure, but at least I'll have put that, I'll have an idea of that, and that feels good already. I'm actually, going through this process and feeling this now, and I can feel a sense of relief already that I've done it, and I've set the wheels in motion. So I'm going to keep on going, and this is quite a steep part of the path, and there will be elements of that. I wouldn't be walking this, as I said before, if I hadn't made that decision. So 3 years hence, down the line, I've had the operation, and I know, because of having the other one done, what the rehab is like for that, and I'd be able to do this now, and I feel I'd be able to see what I'm going to show you now, and 5 years time, I'll be exercising fully. I'll have a proper routine going. I'll have built up strength in my thighs, buttocks, and all the rest that's needed for good hip mobility. And I'll be able to sit or stand amongst the bluebells in this wood. And hopefully the sun had come out as well. So that's my journey. If I start that process, and that feels good. So I want that for you as well. If you have something you need to decide, I recommend doing this, and doing it with someone else, someone you trust, and like, just to, help you through it, and to question you about what it is that you feel at each stage of that journey, on both of those journeys, and get a real sense of how carrying on in the same vein, potentially in a way that's not benefiting you, really will feel at that time, to really then drive you forward, because there is a thing around, there has to be something really painful that you're trying to get away from, and also something that feels good and attainable to pull you towards, and that's what we're after. So I'm going to leave it there. I wish you well on your journey, and I do coach people through these sort of processes, and if anyone wants to inquire about that, there is an email address in my profile. I'm happy to talk to anyone about that, and we could set up a call or something. But at the moment, I'm just going to carry on sharing various things that I know work and could benefit people. So maybe our paths will cross again, and until then, may yours and all our journeys go well.